tough ranked Valley opponent. What's the South Dakota State preparation look like?
Well, the answer to the question about preparation, it's like it always is, Dan. It can't change and can't be unwavering from me on down to the coaches, to the players. The other thing I'm found out that's taken me a while, because I'm a lot like my players, where I have to do a lot of reps. And I finally have figured out that there's a lot of teams in this league that have numbers in front of their names. So the preparation just gets more extended, and they're very, very talented. Coach Stig, he does a great job. John's been there a long time and knows the league, knows his team. They're very well prepared. They got a veteran offense, a little bit of a young defense comparable to their offense. Their offensive line's got 4 returning stars back. They got a dynamite quarterback, tight end, receiver. The old three amigos, and they got a stable of running back. So defensively, we have our hands full on what they're bringing to the table.
I saw that you and I changed things up defensively for the Jackrabbits just to present some different looks. What did you see from the defense that they were able to do against the Rabbits?
Well, they stopped the run, first of all, and then they did a great job of shutting down their three amigos, and then the other thing that helped, though, too, is the opening drive, they went right down and had the turnover. They had 3 turnovers in the football game. So turnovers changes games real quick. And you and I got up on them 17-0. So it changes the dynamic and how you call plays and what you can do.
How important is the pass rush this week, knowing that they have those weapons, the check down, the tight end?
Well, pass rush is always critical for us, and that's one thing we got to generate more, whether through blitzing or through stunts and movement. But the kids did a really nice job. I think we got 3 last week, and putting pressure on the quarterback. You can't play zone coverage. You can't play zone coverage if you don't have a pass rush. They're allowed to count to 5, and they better be on the quarterback. 4 is pushing it. You get to 5. Then it's not the coverage fault, it's the pass rush fault. And, that's defense 101 from the scheme that we run, And when we're in man coverage, they got to lock them down for 5 so the D-line can get there in 5. So, one hand washing the other and both hands wash the face.
How tough was that 24-hour rule for you when the last
I'm not
game
over it.
was just maybe a drive away?
I'm still not over it. And the reason why I'm not over it is because I try to hold the players accountable on a high standard, and when I don't meet it myself, it's huge disappointment for myself, So, in my opinion, there was a strong rationale for one of my calls. There was a bonehead call looking back at it, but hindsight's 20/20. Fish out coached me on that one. We punted 3 or 4 or 5 times, whatever it was. They gave us the exact same look that I studied all week long. Exact same look. We put in a beautiful fake. Coach Kramer came up with a great fake. Looked beautiful in practice for the last 2 weeks. We've been practicing it, actually. So he gave us the look. We called the play, and he changed his look. Kudos to him. That was one of those all or none. We got none. And if they would have gave us the look we wanted, old Mace might still be running. So it's hard to answer your question directly. It's hard to live with that when you make the bonehead call. I've done that about 4 or 5 times in my life, and the thing is, I've made a lot more bonehead calls, but I haven't repeated the same one. So you learn from it and you move on.
That 60-yard receiver rushing touchdown from Ackland, it looked like a play that you guys had stopped in the first half. How frustrating is it when you're maybe one assignment away from shutting that thing down and just kind of blowing up like that?
You see the bag under my eyes, bud? It's very frustrating. It's a great game. I think our coaches do a great job of coaching. I think our great players do a great job of preparing. At the end of the day, I'm coaching 18 to 22-year-olds who make a few mistakes here and there. And sometimes they're glaring. Hell, I'm an old man and I made a huge mistake. Okay, so we just got to learn from it. We got to move on. We got to correct it next time.
When you prepare for a dynamic tight end threat, what specific assignments are the most important in preparing for that guy?
I think what you have to do with a tight end, in my own humbled opinion, is you got to make sure that you keep inside leverage of them. It's almost like a basketball technique where you got to stay between the man and the basket, So I'll throw kudos there to Coach Luss teaching me that. That's number 1. But you have to stay between the man and the basket, kind of. And number 2, you have to be a little bit more physical with him. Tight ends have a propensity to push off a little bit more, so you have to be a little bit more physical. And then they try to give you the mismatches a little bit more, i.e. linebackers against the tight ends. So part of that matchup I like because of the physicality. Linebackers are a little bit more physical than your DBs traditionally. So I like that kind of a matchup with that. But now we're talking about a kid who, at our level, is a premier tight end. You know, you think of all the great NFL guys or the BCS guys. At the FCS level, this is the guy. And so we got our hands full, and you know, you want to double that receiver. Well, it might be the tight end this week. We'll see.
Other than running sideline to sideline in 18 seconds, what has Colby done this year to show that he's improving his game?
What he's done is he's done a better job of pass rush, number one. He's done a better job as you mature through the system to take coaching better, as in the little details of his position. And he's done a really good job of that. And what he's done to really help the game and help the team is he's stepped into a great leadership role. Mm-hmm. And he's teaching and mentoring the younger players with certain things.
If you look at the film from Saturday, what was Malik Earl doing so much to get 14 catches and the rushing touchdown? Was he just getting that open every play?
Yeah, I think what happened was the offensive coaches did a good job of game planning. You know, what they did was they moved Malik to different positions on the field instead of just staying in one spot all the time. We've been using Dion on the jet sweep. So if you're a smart defensive coach, you're saying, okay, when number 5 goes in motion, here comes the jet sweep. When this guy goes in, it's a decoy. Well, you have to break those tendencies. It's very important that our coaching staff on Sunday nights and into first thing Monday morning, we self-scout ourselves so that we have to break tendencies and stuff.
How would you describe Malik's leadership style this senior season?
Very passionate, very vocal. He's the one guy who does his leadership style is vocally and work ethic wise. And when you have a guy who's probably one of your top 5 workers on the team, he can also then be one of the most top 5 vocal leaders. And he gets respect because he earned it. It doesn't, you know, some guys try to demand respect or work towards respect. He gets it because he earns it, because he works so hard. He's so passionate. He wears his colors on his sleeve, you know, which is good and bad sometimes, but mostly good. But he's really passionate about what he's doing, and he really loves his teammates.
You're a defensive coordinator, former defensive coordinator up north, and you've gone up against some of the best receivers out there right now. How does he compare to those guys?
You know, the only thing that he might lack a little bit is speed, but what he makes up for is he's got phenomenal hands. He's got great eye-hand coordination, runs great routes. I made that basketball analogy. He does a good job of screening his body, so he's between the basket and the ball, meaning the quarterback, obviously. So he has a great knack of doing those things. So his route running, his positioning, his hands, that makes up for that little half step slower that he is. He'll probably kill me that and say he's slow.
that vocal quality in practice, is he the type to challenge DBs in practice? A little trash talk here and there?
Yeah, he's a mini. You know, I had a guy, Spoon, up north. You know, I used to ask Spoon all the time if he talked in his sleep, and he said yes, which I believe. He talks so much. He's like that. He talks a lot. I think the DBs respond to that. There's a lot of chirping going on in practice and things like that. And that's what I'm saying, his passion, his enthusiasm for the game, and his competitiveness. But he doesn't cross the line to being, it's more of a competitive barking and not a demeaning barking, which I really respect and like.
Coach.